What's up, everybody? This is Weslee Weighs In, and I'm here with my wife, Bailey, and this is going to be like the introduction to all the podcasts and to the channel. So, what's up, Bailey?
Hey, guys. What's up?
This is my wifey right here. Wifey, Miss Bailey Parker. So, it's kind of like just jump right in, kind of introduce. We'll start with you. Introduce yourself, who you are, you know, who we are, and then I'll kind of piggyback off of that.
I think you should go first.
Okay.
You're saying that. I feel like you should give a little background and like.
She's the brains of the operation, so I just do as I'm told,
true.
you know. So my name is Weslee. I've been training different sports for years and years. I started skateboarding, took skateboarding to a decent level, was a brand ambassador through Gatorade. Then I transitioned to filming skating with different high-level skaters, stuff like that. Before that, I was in wrestling and judo in high school, kind of did a year of each of those, like off and on, and competed at both of those. And then transitioned as I was I think I was like 20 maybe, and then that's when I started boxing. And I boxed for like 10 or 11 years, started in San Antonio, moved to DFW, and then my cousin was training me there, who's been in the scene for years and years and years. His dad was in boxing and coached boxing at a very, very high level. And it was throughout my whole family. And then fast forward past all the boxing, and I picked up jiu-jitsu. Kind of got not pulled, but I was pulled, but unintentionally pulled to judo again. That's kind of where it all started again. We'll kind of get into that later, but that's kind of my background. Now I'm doing jiu-jitsu. I've been training jiu-jitsu for like 3 years or something like. I don't know. I'm not even quite 2 years at blue yet, so like 2 and 7 months or something like that. Or I mean, not a year and 7 months at blue belt. So
yeah.
But what about you? Kind of a little bit about yourself.
Well, it's funny because you were one of those people growing up who did like every single sport imaginable for at least a little bit of time. Always very athletic and trying different things. And I was like the complete opposite. I was the farthest thing away from an athlete. I think everybody wanted me to be really good at sports when I was younger because I was really tall. So like volleyball, basketball, stuff like that. Like my coaches had the highest hopes for me that, you know, I was going to be like the star player, and I was just not that.
Little did they know you're just a little lanky and a little clumsy.
I was even more clumsy then. I was such a klutz. And so, I think after I kind of had to finish all my athletic credits in high school, I just kind of stopped doing sports and went through a few phases of like weightlifting and things like that over the years. But not only am I not an athlete, but the idea of any sort of contact sport is so anxiety inducing to me. In fact, I joke, but it's actually a true story that when I first started jiu-jitsu for like the first few weeks, I literally had to take an anxiety pill before class every single time because just the even idea of doing it stressed me out so much. So I do not come by it naturally, which is why I'm always like preaching to people that anybody can do it. If I can do it, literally anybody can get on the mat and do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. You know, let's talk about kind of how you started jiu-jitsu. I was training jiu-jitsu for, what did you say? Was it even quite? I hadn't got my blue belt yet, I don't think.
No, I don't think you were still a white belt. And it's funny because like jiu-jitsu now for us, and I'm sure we'll talk more about it, but like it's a family sport. So Weslee and I have 3 kids. We have twin girls. They're 9 years old, and our son is 8. He's about to turn 8. And so all 5 of us do jiu-jitsu at this point. And it really started with our daughter Lennox, and then Weslee started.
Yeah, you're right. We should kind of rewind a little bit. So back with Lennox, she started jiu-jitsu. Maddox was already doing gymnastics, had been doing gymnastics for a while. Dax not really in anything.
He was too young, I
Yeah,
think. You know, we wanted to put him in jiu-jitsu once the family started doing it, but I think he couldn't until he was like 4 or 5, and
Yeah.
he was just too little.
And we put Lennox in judo. My cousin had been talking about jiu-jitsu, and he was teaching judo at his jiu-jitsu school that he was training at, and kind of got me pumped up to like, man, I wanted something for Lennox to have as her own, because I remember specifically feeling like Maddox has her own thing, you know, but Lennox doesn't have anything, and we got to figure something out for her. So
she like jumped sports a lot.
And
she
we
did like ballet and tried all these different things, but like Maddox started gymnastics when she was 3, and like that quickly was her sport. She's still doing it to this day. So yeah.
Do you remember how she kind of how we found why I decided to go with judo? Do you remember?
No.
It was off of watching Karate Kid. Cobra
really?
Kai, because she loved karate. She was like, I want to do karate. I like the white gi. You know, I was like, no, no hate on karate, but I've done other stuff that I think was a lot better for her, you know? And so I was like, it's like karate in the sense you get to wear a gi.
Yeah.
So you'll get to do that. And so we started with judo. It was a little farther than I would liked it to have been. Plus, I was still training boxing a lot, so I was driving 35 minutes every day to do that. Plus,
and Maddox's gym was far too.
Very
we were
far.
Driving like 45 minutes
just
to
for
take
Maddox
to gymnastics multiple times. So
and then it was driving
too much.
a 25-minute drive, probably with the traffic, because the time to do judo, which was at Okuri Judo, and it was good. It was great, but the drive was killing us. So we quickly transitioned to a gym that was a lot closer to us, like literally a 5-minute run from the house. And Keller Elite is where we went and took her. And after having her do that for a little while, I started getting the itch again.
Yeah.
Decided, you know what? I had kind of trained a little bit of judo, started put my toe back in the water, back over there at my cousin's gym. And we would train, and he would show me jiu-jitsu, and I was like, dude, I'm going to have to do this. So that's kind of how it started.
It literally took you like 2 months. It's like as soon as you saw Lennox doing it, Wesley's like, I can't just watch her do this. Like that, the concept of just watching your child do combat sports without you being directly involved.
Not even just that. Like
a thought.
I wish at the time, I still wish this, but I wish Maddox, her gymnastics had an adult program. I would have loved.
You did.
Yeah,
I would love to go.
I just want to be in there with them. You know, like I just love that aspect of jiu-jitsu, is that we can all train together. We all get to talk about stuff together.
Yeah.
You know, and I wanted that for gymnastics, but I don't think the way that gymnastics is built is for adults necessarily who are in their 30s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe.
And for the record, when I said earlier that Weslee tried and did all of the sports, that included gymnastics when he was younger also.
Yeah,
he did also do gymnastics.
I did gymnastics,
so,
and that was a lot of fun. And that's how I related to her and when it comes to gymnastics, because there was stuff I remember, and that kind of helped. You know, and I wanted to do that even in a deeper level, but there was no opportunity for me to like be a gymnast again at 29, 30 years old.
But
or whatever.
lucky for you, they have adult jiu-jitsu classes.
Yes, for old Master 1 guys, you know.
Yep.
So that's kind of how that started. And then that whole background, that can kind of piggytail us into piggyback, whatever. Oh my gosh. So piggyback onto how you got into jiu-jitsu. You know, I'm sure I've been telling you need to try it. I want you to try it. You got to try it.
I did not want to do that at all. I was very adamant. I was not ever going to do it.
Literally not ever going to do it.
I was said the last thing on earth that I would want to do is go roll around on a mat with sweaty strangers in uncomfortable positions. Like, that was the last thing that I ever wanted to do. And I always felt like growing up that if I just got along with people, then I wouldn't have to fight anybody. And so I'm like, this has been going just fine for me in my life. I have zero interest or desire in doing jiu-jitsu. And at that point, everybody in the family was doing it except for me. And I was perfectly content to go to the tournaments and, take all the videos and be little mom content creator for the kiddos. I was perfectly content with that. But lots of peer pressure from Weslee, lots of peer pressure from one of the black belts at our gym who was really trying to get more women to come to class. And I would love it if at some point we have the opportunity to talk with Tracy on the podcast, but she is huge on women in the sport because she didn't get to have that when she was coming up in the sport. And so she's all about, trying to get more women on the mats and training with each other. And so she kept pressuring me and Weslee kept pressuring me, and I was still not going to do it. It came down to the pool.
The pool.
The pool, the infamous pool story.
Yeah.
So, we had moved up to North Fort Worth like a year before this happened.
From South Fort Worth, right?
From Southwest Fort Worth. And at that house, we had a pool. And I was working from home, and it was amazing. Like, the summers were great. The kids were home.
Lots of good memories. Tons of good memories. This is where I taught the girls how to swim.
Yeah.
I was teaching Dax how to swim before we moved, The girls learned how to swim at a super young age because of that. So, yes, the pool was held near and dear to our heart.
Yeah.
We hated it.
Which is funny because we didn't want a pool when we bought the house. We were like, ew, that's too much maintenance. And by the time we left, we were like, man, that pool was so helpful. Because working from home, when the kids are not at school and I'm working during the summer, it can be really challenging, especially at their ages. They were like 4 and 6 at the time. And so it was so challenging to keep them occupied. But when we had the pool, they could go swimming and I could sit outside on my computer and get work done while they were playing, and it kept them occupied all summer. So fast forward, we move. Our house now does not have a pool. And the first summer I had to work from home with all of the kids home was a nightmare. It was an actual nightmare. Every day of my life, I felt like I
didn't love them screaming and fighting and making a mess of the house while you're working and meetings.
I love my children, but it was like, hey, mommy needs to go onto this meeting, and I would close the door and I would open the door, and it was like a literal tornado had just gone through the house, and there's like screaming and there's things flying everywhere, and I swear everything was clean when I closed the door
10
to
minutes
have
before.
my meeting. Exactly. It was just awful. Like, they just didn't have enough of an outlet to be able to do stuff. And so I had been begging Weslee. I'm like, we don't have a pool. One day we'll put in like a big pool, but can I please just have like an above ground pool in the backyard so that
I said, yeah,
they
a kiddie
can go
pool.
swim? Shut up. No. And he said, no, it's going to kill all of our grass.
Yeah, because that's the part she left out. Of course, the man is going to say the big, beautiful, lush green backyard that I traded the pool for. I did not want to damage the grass with a big, ugly-looking above-ground pool.
Yes.
So that was, I did not, and I knew it was going to be a lot of work that was going to fall on me.
That eyesore was not worth my sanity to him, apparently.
Yes, no, not at all.
Yeah. So I had been begging, and Weslee kept saying no. And then one day he made a deal with me. So I was 100% bribed. He said, if you will just try jujitsu for 1 month, go 3 days a week for 1 month, and you can get a pool. You don't ever have to step foot in the gym again if you don't want to after 1 month. Just give it 1 month and you can have the pool. And so I still had to think about it for a little while. And then I had to order a purple gi because
I knew that was my key. The second that she agreed to that, I knew there was no looking back.
Yeah. I was not so sure about that. And like I said, every class for that month, I mean, I had to take a pill beforehand. I was so, just the idea, I can't even put in words how anxious and stressed going to jiu-jitsu made me feel. Which is why, side note, I commend every woman who walks into a gym. We have some at our gym who walked into a gym and they didn't know anybody, and they were just like, I don't know, it kind of looked fun, and then, you know, I thought maybe I would just try it out. And nobody dragged them there. Nobody bribed them, nothing. Like, they just showed up and keep coming. And I'm just like, man, good on you, because I literally had to be bribed with a swimming pool.
Yeah, it takes a lot of courage to do that, that's for sure. I mean, I think it takes courage for anybody, but definitely for a woman who's never done sports like this, walking into a gym and sees that it's a lot of contact with mostly men on the mat, you know,
it can be very intimidating.
Yeah.
And so, the pool happened. I have the pool. It's in the backyard right now. The kids were swimming in it earlier this week. It's finally getting hot enough for it. And it's been just over 2 years now. I just had my 2-year jiu-jitsu-versary, as I lovingly call it. I like to bring cupcakes.
A blue belt, one stripe.
Yes, I got my blue belt. I've been competing a lot, and I have never looked back. I never in a million years thought I would be doing this or competing. Like, I remember the day that I told my mom we had a tournament like the weekend after Thanksgiving, and I told my mom, like, I'm gonna have to watch what I'm eating this week over Thanksgiving because I need to make weight for my fight. And we both just kind of froze and looked at each other. She's like, who are you? Like, I know. Words you never thought would come out of my mouth in a million years. But yeah, here we are.
But yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, from my point of view, it's been, well, one, I know how Bailey's personality is. I knew when she gave it a chance. Like I said, I knew when she said yes. The way jiu-jitsu is like, you can be a thinker, like a real thinker in jiu-jitsu, or you can be someone who's just like 100% just like a bull in a china cabinet. You know, you can pick kind of either style, and that's why I think jiu-jitsu, it brings in all walks of life. You have guys who are like work at NASA who do jiu-jitsu, and you have guys who have, you know, they're just like knuckle dragging guys. You know what I mean? You know, you have all walks of life, and jiu-jitsu, like, it's a problem-solving sport. You're constantly solving problems under pressure. So and Bailey's very smart. She's a smart girl. So
mental and strategic than I ever would have guessed.
And she's a perfectionist. So if she puts her mind to anything, I don't care what it is, and she cares about it enough, she'll become like one of the best at it. She'll become very good at it, you know. And I knew that the second that I could get her to, you know, just even somewhat enjoy it and find some fun in it, then she would take the ball and run with it, and she has. She's won a lot, you know, many tournaments, competes. To be honest, she competes so much so that, like, I would not be planning on competing. I'm like, I can't not compete if you're competing. I got to get out there and compete. You know, like, it has motivated me to compete more, which has been really nice.
Which is so funny too, because I feel like our mindsets tend to be like, Weslee's very serious and dedicated. Like, he studies literally all the time. Like, he's constantly watching a video or some master class, or he's just constant. I don't do as much of that. I take it seriously in class, but I like to say that, I mean, it's serious, but it's not that serious. Like, I don't take myself too seriously. And I actually think for new people starting in the sport, and especially women who are like stepping outside of their comfort zone and trying something they've never tried before, I think sometimes you have a tendency to take it so seriously, or take yourself so seriously, that when you're like, oh, I had a bad day, or oh, I don't feel like I'm getting this, or oh, I feel like I just get smashed the whole class. Every time I come, all I do is get smashed. That it can be really easy to get down on yourself and be like, why am I even doing this? Like, I suck at this. And you know, like you said, I'm a perfectionist. I want to be good at things. I don't like trying things and sucking at them, just generally speaking. So I feel like, while you always want to take it seriously and be learning the art of jiu-jitsu, it's important to not take yourself so seriously that you don't let yourself have the room to fail and to learn, and to know that getting smashed and having a bad day is just kind of part of it, and we can all laugh it off and move on without feeling like I have to quit, because clearly this is not for me.
Like I said, I feel like your mentality, I mean, not only did it motivate me, but it changed my mentality a little bit, because like you said, I'm more like methodical about when I compete. If I'm going to compete, you know, I'm always, and this is kind of like not really a positive, and I've kind of flipped it, and you've helped me flip it unintentionally, but I kind of needed the perfect circumstances. I needed to feel right. I needed to feel like I've been training hard, you know, like even if it was 2 months out, like, you know, World League happens, and then you can sign up immediately for the next time it's in your town. you would sign up like, oh yeah, I already signed us up. We're ready to go. Except for I'm not signed up. So I'd be like, dang, you already signed up? I mean, I need to think about this. Am I going to be ready? I mean, what is it looking like? And I like to, and that's part of in boxing was the same way. I like to prepare intensively and have a high level of confidence.
Yeah.
But I've also found that if I just go ahead and sign up right off the bat, since you are, have signed up and have had that attitude, that it's once I sign up, I'm like, I'm game. Like I'm ready to go. Like there's no turning back now. The money's been paid.
Yeah.
I'm 100% in, and I'm gonna train. For me, my style, I'm gonna train like I'm competing. Like if I don't have anything on the board, I'm not really training with the same intensity, the same intentions. Which I think in that respect, I think we're still different there. I think that you can sign up and still be like, I'm just training like I've always have. Nothing's really different. I think maybe more like the couple weeks before, it'll be a little different for you. But
I more try to like just run through things in my head and make sure I feel like I have answers for different things. But I feel like I still approach competing similar to how I did at my very first tournament. And I was like, people are like, oh, are you ready? And I'm like, probably not. Yeah. I'm probably going to lose.
Yeah, I remember you saying that you're probably going to lose and stuff like that, which I was like, that's crazy.
I literally wasn't even nervous. People were like,
talk about a winner's mindset right there.
I wasn't nervous because
I think that was good for you. It didn't put a lot of pressure on you.
I didn't that was it. I didn't put pressure on myself. It wasn't that I wasn't taking it seriously. It's like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to give it 110%. I'm going to do the best I can, but I'm not going out there thinking like, I've got this in the bag and I have to do this. And like, I didn't have such high expectations for myself that I felt like I had to meet something. I just felt like if I don't just do it, I'll never compete. I'm never going to feel like I'm perfectly ready to just go out there and smash everyone. So you've got to just do it and kind of see where you land. There's nothing to test your skill like competing in a tournament. And so I kind of just said, am I ready? I don't know. Am I going to win? Probably not, but we're just going to go out there and see where I'm at, and I won a lot of times after that too. But I tell people who say like, oh, maybe I'll compete one day. Oh, I don't know if I'm ready. I'm like, you know what? You've got to just do it. You just say, am I ready? I don't know, but you just got to put yourself out there or it's never going to happen. And I still do the same thing. Like you said, you will like want to plan and have like a long-term goal for when your next tournament is and how you're going to compete for it. And I'll be like, oh, there's one next weekend. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. I sign up for it.
My goal for 2025 was to compete way more. Like I would like to end 2025 with feeling like I competed almost every month, maybe twice a month, you know, and just be active. I feel like that's a barrier that I had to break through, was with like not putting so much pressure on every single tournament, making it such a big deal, just making it like a way of life. It's just the next one we do, Once you break past that barrier, I feel like it's so much easier to just dive into a competition. Not only that, but it keeps me in shape. Like it keeps me from eating like crap and then getting overweight and stuff like that, making it harder to cut. I always try to stay within 5 pounds of my weight class just across the board. Yeah. And if I have a tournament 3 weeks after I compete, then I'm ready to go pretty much. I'm not gonna, slack off too much. I may get a good like 2 or 3 days of eating what I want to eat, binging a little bit, and then it's not hard at all for me to go right back to it when I have a goal that I've already set for myself. So, that's definitely been a big part of the change this year, like my mindset switch. So let's talk a little bit about like the parent aspect of it for you as a mom. What challenges have you seen or felt? What positives have you seen as a parent or a mom juggling 3 kids? What you were juggling a career? Now it's a whole nother topic. We're in a new avenue of life right now. God has us in a season of we're trying to find our way right now, or God is guiding us there. But that's a whole other story. So, but kind of talk to us about or tell me a little bit about what it's like being a mom in the sport.
It's been really cool because, like you said before, when Lennox started doing jiu-jitsu, you really wanted to be in it and like training with her and doing the sport with her. And I definitely underestimated the value of that. I was perfectly content just like watching from the sidelines and taking videos and being content creator mom. And it's been really cool actually to be doing a sport and training the same sport that the kids are doing. I feel like it's given me a better appreciation for the work that they're doing and how difficult some of the skills and stuff that they're doing actually are.
So just saying, Lennox, stand up, just stand up.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. And I mean, I almost, like, I hate to say it, but I like feel bad for parents who are at a tournament and you can tell they don't really know what's going on. They know that they take their kid to practice and they do their thing, but they don't really know the sport. They're not following it very well. And I feel proud to be able to watch my kids compete. And like I said, not only appreciate everything that they're doing, but feel like I understand what's going on. I'm following it. Sometimes I can even coach what they're doing. I feel like a lot of times their skill has surpassed mine in a lot of areas. And they would wipe the floor with me if they were my size. But it's been really cool to just have it be a family sport that we're all involved in and we can all cheer each other on and just watch them grow as athletes, watch them grow as people as they've been learning, sportsmanship and how we act and respond when we lose and things don't go our way.
Kind of struggle with that a little bit, right? With one of them?
Yes, one of our girls is a redhead and she, like me, does not like to do things and be bad at them. And she doesn't like to lose and she's very competitive. And so we've had to have a lot of conversations
Which is not a bad thing.
No,
it's just
it's
knowing
a great
how to
thing.
direct it correctly.
Yeah, I mean, the spirit of that is such a good thing. I've always said, like, whatever she finds in life and her passions, like, she's going to excel because that's how her brain is wired. But it's learning how to respond when things don't go your way. As a kid, that's hard in general. And so it's been a real process of watching her lose, not just be a good winner, but to be a good loser.
Yeah.
And
which is something I've tried so hard for all of them. It's so important to lose correctly, not throw a big fit, and stomp off them.
Not
It's just
stomping or crying off the mat, but
it sets a bad reputation for yourself in the gym and doesn't look good,
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we want our kids to be the ones who, and they're watching this grow in them has been so cool. Watching them lose and look at their opponent and like clap for them and give them a hug and be like, good job. And they may come off the mat and hug us and go sit down and cry for a minute because they're sad, like they don't want to lose, but learning how to cheer other people on. Like, there's room for everybody to do well and excel in the sport, So, it's been really cool to have it become a family sport.
Yeah. No, I think that to kind of go back a little bit on the first part you touched on with like parents who don't really train, it's one, I hear parents who are like, oh, I watch it enough. I see it, like even if you guys, like parents who take their kids, if you don't want it to become your full-time sport, like get out there and do a couple classes.
Yeah.
Like just
try it.
Have someone hold you down. That way, whenever you see your kid in side control and you understand truly what is going on, at least a fraction you understand of what's going on. And it changes your whole outlook on it. And I'm telling you, I've seen parents who said they thought they knew, and then they tried it, and they're like, I didn't know anything.
No idea.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and like I said, I mean, you can see it when you're at tournaments and whatever. You can see the parents who clearly, it's like they have no, bless their heart. Like, they're trying, that's great. They're there cheering them on and whatever. But your appreciation and understanding for it is entirely different when you just get out there and try it,
And even past that, like, such a bigger benefit than just knowing what they're going through is like actually training with your kid. You know, like that's a bonding experience that you're not gonna get almost any other sport. Like you can be. I mean, no offense to any of the other sports out there. You can be you can be in baseball, football. you can be a coach, and that's a whole nother different experience right there. But it's hard to find a sport where you are literally on the mat with them.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for the day when the girls in DAX reach an age and a weight where they're close to me and we can train like harder. Like, I'm looking so forward to that, you know. So even if it's not even about, you know, like understanding what they're feeling on the mat or whatever, but at least you can have that bonding experience with them. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Well, to flip this back to you for a second, so you've talked a little bit about all the different sports that you've done and things like that, a lot of combat related sports over the years. And I know for a long time, like boxing was your thing. I mean, for everybody, I mean, there's been lots of discussions about whether or not Weslee should go pro in boxing. And he really dedicated a lot of time to that. And it was almost surprising for us when you started to kind of shift your focus more to jiu-jitsu. I think it surprised you. So can you talk a little bit about like what that was like when you kind of made that transition? And
it was weird to transition from boxing to jiu-jitsu because I honestly felt like I was cheating on boxing.
I remember you said that. You were literally like, I don't even want to like post that I'm training at the jiu-jitsu gym because I feel like I'm cheating on my boxing gym.
I was going into.
I was like, that's the.
Well, I was going in. I felt like I was going in too deep. To post about it was meaning I was like getting into it a little too deep. You know?
Like it was one thing to say like, oh, I'm kind of doing this because my kids are doing it and whatever. But once you really started to like dedicate that much to it.
And even my cousin would be like, have you started watching videos? Like, I'm like, no, dude, I purposely don't watch them because I don't want them in my algorithm. I already have I have boxing. Like this is my sport. And so like when I first started, you know, I didn't talk about it much. I didn't post about it. So like all the pictures that I go back and look at, I have a few, but like you don't see most of the pictures of me training till like maybe 6 to 8 months. Of actual jiu-jitsu because that's about the time where I started to feel more so lame, like secure, like about
this is who I am now.
And even then, like I was still training a lot of boxing then. Like I'm not sparring in boxing like I was when I first started, and like quiet training is hard in boxing. I still hit the bag, and I actually did some boxing today at the open mat I went to, but I'm not in the beginning. I'm not doing as much as I was then, but back then. I was still, you know, running before. I would like run 3 miles before I would train jiu-jitsu. I would do 2 a day, but essentially it'd be after work. So like I work a whole day, get off at 3:30, then I would go train boxing for an hour and a half, and then I'd jet over at 7:15 and I'd do jiu-jitsu. I'd be smoked.
Again, the kind of athleticism I've literally never experienced in my entire life.
So it was definitely hard to transition in the sense like of switching my mind to being okay with jiu-jitsu being another new sport that I do. But the transition, like other than that, was great. You know, like the culture is a lot different in jiu-jitsu than boxing. And a lot of boxing gyms, most boxing gyms, and there's nothing wrong with it, it's like part of the sport, you know. It's like kill or be killed. You know, you're in the ring, and it don't matter if they're your teammates, you're literally you're not celebrating if you knock the guy out, you know, your teammate, but it's like, hey man, I got power. Like this is good. I'm preparing for a fight. You know, so especially the guys, it's like a different kind of story in boxing where like I've come from nothing. I don't have money. I'm trying to make it as a world champ. I want to be, you know, a superstar, you know, make it big as a world champion. And so that tends to come with the territory. It's kind of like, I compare wrestling a lot to boxing with the mentality of it's like kill or be killed, eat or get ate, you know. So shifting from that to jiu-jitsu, I had that mentality already. So I'm already have very strict discipline when it comes because like boxing, wrestling, like those two sports are going to build that into you. Very strict, very disciplined on how I train. But then going to the culture of jiu-jitsu where it's a lot of the gyms, at least in my experience, have been very friendly. You get to make friends, and it's not so much of like this vibe of kill or be killed all the time, you know.
It's like a family and a community, which is really cool. Like it's just a different type of environment. In fact, I remember talking to my mom right after I started, because that was one thing that you said, trying to convince me before the bribes that I should try it, is you were like, you know, you'll get in there and you'll like get in shape and you'll make new friends and whatever. And I remember talking to my mom and being like, yeah, like we have a little community and we have friends and we're going out to dinner this weekend, and I'd lost weight from being in the gym. And she was like, isn't that annoying when he's right? I'm like, yes, actually, it's super annoying, but it was true. Like, I never expected
really
to go
never
in
been
there.
wrong before.
Okay, well, let's not go there. A little excessive. But I truly never expected to go into the gym and actually like make really great friends, you know.
Which we have done. I mean, some of our closest friends are from jiu-jitsu.
Are from our jiu-jitsu gym, and it's I don't think that is just singular to our gym either.
No,
like, I love the
not.
people at our gym, but like you were saying, that's just the culture of jiu-jitsu. It's very different from other sports.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And like I said, and kind of going back to the transition, it was a good transition for the most part, besides that one little first part about being in denial, really. So this is kind of like promotion to all the guys out there women who did another sport before at a high level, and then maybe you're not going to go pro, or maybe you're not, you know, you're a collegiate athlete and now you're out of college. This is a really good sport to go to, that you can take your skills and your endurance that you've built up and your discipline and move it over to a new sport where you can still keep competing at a high level if you want to. You know, there's super fights, there's you can travel to like really big tournaments, there's all kinds of stuff. ADCC if you want to be a no-gi guy, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. And I have transitioned very well. I feel like I took all of my attributes I gained in boxing and my discipline, my film study, all that, and I moved it to jiu-jitsu, and it has skyrocketed me compared to the people who didn't have that, and they come fresh, you know? Yeah. So like my studying, I mean, I study and boxers study a ton when it comes to like fighting, you know, taking bits and pieces from their favorite fighters and adding it to their game. And that's what I do. That's why I study so much. It's where I got it from. Same with cross training. I cross train a lot. I open mat a lot, because in boxing, you don't have a ton of guys in your gym that are your size that you can spar with. Your coach literally gets on the phone in boxing and they call another coach and they say, hey, I'm looking for a 141. I got a pro. My fighter's amateur. They can work together, you know, or whatever. And that happened all the time. And you travel, you know, with your coach or with your team, and you go spar at other gyms. Like, that's constant. So when you do that, you build a level of confidence for your next fight. So I would do the same thing, or I do the same thing in jiu-jitsu. I do go, not only that, like the thing that I get in jiu-jitsu that I didn't get in boxing most of the time is in jiu-jitsu, when you go cross train, you like are building more community.
Yeah.
You're building more people into your circle
It's a
who
small
are really cool.
community.
Like it's big, but it's small.
It's big,
you know?
but small. Like, the more you get connected with people, and everybody knows
and in
people
boxing,
from other gyms.
It wasn't exactly the same. Like, you go to their gym, it's our gym versus their gym.
Yeah.
And literally what it is. Like, I know people have heard of dojo storming, where like a gym just walks in. That's what it was anytime you went and sparred.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's gyms you go to that like they're friendly and like they're friends with you, and you make friends with them, and they become sparring partners, and they call you for good work, for sure. But at the end of the day, like when you step in that ring, it's you versus him.
Yeah.
And if that guy has a bloody nose or you dropped him, like you're feeling good about when you walk out of that ring. Like you're feeling like you did something that was productive to your next fight, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, as far as the transition, that's kind of how it went. And it has been mostly positives as far as that goes.
Well, and to your point, and I think we probably won't talk about it like on this episode, but I do think it might be something worth talking about on another episode, and this might kind of lead into my next kind of question for you. But just the general way that an athlete from another sport transitioning into jiu-jitsu, how helpful that is to them. And I just say that based on our daughter, who's a gymnast, and like that's been her sport. And we talk and laugh all the time about how her gymnastics has been like, we can see how that's helped her in jiu-jitsu. Even, I mean, it's literally not related at all.
Yeah.
But when she decided that she wanted to do jiu-jitsu also, like, her gymnastics has been huge at helping her kind of catch up to her sister who started before her. But she's really been able to catch up and kind of get on that same level because
almost a year. She almost did it for almost a year before Maddox ever got in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that might be something interesting to talk about, or to talk with other, guests who have also transitioned from doing some other like totally random sport
For sure.
and come to jiu-jitsu and what that's been like. But with that, I will transition to asking you to talk a little bit about why the heck we're doing this. Why do we decide to start a podcast?
Yeah. So,
what is our goal here?
Well, first off, I mean, I kind of talked about wanting to express some stuff. I feel like I have good conversation that I could create.
Wesley's got opinions.
I got opinions. I got things I want to weigh in on, pun intended. And I just feel like it'll bring more light to combat sports, which is a good thing. I think it brings more light to all the combat sports that we talk about. Right now, it's going to be a lot of jiu-jitsu, a lot of boxing, judo, wrestling, but we want to expand to like Muay Thai, kickboxing, like anything that we can talk about and get attention on. I just feel like that would be really cool for the community, and it's good for each sport to have an inside lens, like inside the sport. Because there's one thing to watch MMA. You see, like, they're striking. It's not the same as boxing. It is just flat out not the same. And then I have people talk to me like, oh, so you're like a striker? I'm like, no. I'm like, boxing is not striking. It is completely different. And it actually offends boxers when you call it striking and you mean like, and we actually box. So, and that's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of thing I want to talk about and kind of peel back on, some layers on, and talk about. And I think that it would be good to help people see like jiu-jitsu is pretty cool, because there's like this animosity sometimes, I feel like, for sure, in boxing, and I know other sports too, where it's like, man, that guy just rolls around on the ground. I could box. I could destroy that guy. Or
everybody thinks
like
their sports is
martial
better
art
than,
is
like,
better.
If I, who would win, a grappler or a boxer in a fight? Like, there's always these kinds of discussions.
And I guess in a way, I'm trying to like circle us all around, talk about it. Let's see that there's a lot of common ground. And I think most people realize that in general, but there are some inside scoops that I think people wouldn't know, things I don't know about other sports, for sure.
Well, and I think that's why you're wanting to bring on different guests and like talk with different people about, just different topics within the world of combat sports. And to be honest, I probably have no business being in on any of these discussions, and that's probably why I'm here. Because
you have plenty of business, because you bring a perspective that not everybody has.
That's the thing,
and that's what I'm talking about.
It's not my world. Like that's always been your world in some way, and I'm just kind of entering into it, and it's not my world. But I'm slowly learning that parts of it absolutely can be my world, and they can be anybody's. Like, again, if I can do it, anybody can do it, and I think there's something to be said for empowering women, especially, to say, like, don't be afraid, you can do it. Like, jiu-jitsu can absolutely be for you, and you can build community, and you can get in shape, and you can build confidence in who you are as a person. You can build self-defense and know that you have a little bit of something to help take care of yourself. And the empowerment and the confidence that I've developed by just stepping out of my comfort zone and doing something like this has just been incredible. People think I'm an extrovert. You're more of an extrovert than you give yourself credit for. I'm not an extrovert at all, but people think this. But I think it's because I think a lot of it has to do with confidence and empowerment. And then when you experience that, you want to share it with other people. And that's why, when women come into the gym, it's like you want to talk to them. You want to make them feel welcome. You want them to come back so that they can experience the same thing you've experienced, and you can continue to build that community. So while I have no business talking combat sports with you or anybody else, I think it's important that everybody has business talking combat sports,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
being involved in it
Yeah.
with you and everybody else. So, yeah.
I think that's a good spot to kind of pause, and we'll, hit another episode. We've already got other stuff in the works right now.
Yeah, we've got some guests lined up.
Already got some other interviews we've already done. So really looking forward to it, guys. I hope that this content is interesting to y'all. Please leave a comment, like subscribe, all that good stuff.
Give us some feedback.
Give us feedback, because I get people who message me all the time, and they're like, man, it's kind of spread out, but it happens often enough where it's like, man, you're so motivating. Like all the stuff y'all do, but I'm like, man, I wish I didn't know you felt like that. If you've been feeling like that, say something, because it makes me.
I didn't think about that either till just now, but I get that too with like our like the fact that the whole family's doing it, everybody's going competing.
I just had, while we were doing this a little bit ago, a friend messaged me and was like, man, you're so motivating. I'm like, well, keep saying that, because it helps keep me motivated. It helps me want to keep putting more stuff out,
But just again, it's for everybody, just any person stepping out and trying something, it's motivating to somebody else. So, yeah.
So that's it, guys. So subscribe, leave us feedback, and that's Weslee Weighs In.